My girlfriend said, "I don't feel the spark anymore." I replied, "Feel this breakup." Then I moved out overnight, blocked her, started fresh, and I smiled when her spark turned out to be broken married. Hey Reddit, I don't feel the spark anymore. Those 6 words came out of her mouth while I was folding laundry in our apartment that I'd been paying 70% of the rent for during the past 2 years. She said it casually, like she was commenting on the weather, standing in the doorway with her arms crossed and that distant look in her eyes I'd been pretending not to notice for weeks. I'm 27. Been with Nina for 3 years. We moved in together after 18 months because it made sense, or so I thought. I worked as a software developer. She was finishing her master's degree in marketing. Life was supposed to be building towards something. Okay, I said, setting down the shirt I was folding. Feel this breakup. Her face went blank. What? You heard me. We're done. I'll be out by tomorrow. The color drained from her face. This wasn't the script she'd prepared for. She probably expected me to beg, to ask what I could do differently, to fight for us. That's what the old me would have done 6 months ago when she first started pulling away. Wait, you're not even going to talk about this? Her voice cracked slightly. Talk about what? You don't feel it anymore. I'm not going to convince you to feel something you don't. I'm not a used car salesman pitching you on emotions. I walked past her into our bedroom and pulled my duffel bag from the closet. My hands were steady. That surprised me. I'd imagined this moment differently in the shower, during late-night drives, in those quiet moments when she was on her phone smiling at messages she angled away from me. I'd imagined anger, tears, maybe even violence against the furniture. Instead, I just felt cold clarity. "This is insane," she said, following me. "You're being dramatic." Dramatic would be begging you to remember how things used to be. Dramatic would be making a PowerPoint presentation about our relationship. I'm being practical. I started pulling clothes from drawers. You don't want this anymore. Neither do I, apparently. So let's not waste each other's time. Where are you even going to go? Not your problem. I grabbed my laptop, chargers, toiletries. The essentials fit in 2 bags. Everything else was just stuff. Nina stood there, mouth opening and closing like she was trying to find words that wouldn't come. I thought we'd talk about taking a break maybe. Figure things out. I stopped and looked at her directly. A break is just a breakup with false hope attached. You want to keep me as a backup plan while you explore whatever, or whoever, is making you feel that spark you're missing. I'm good, thanks. Her face flushed. Bingo. There's no one else, she said, but her eyes darted away. Sure. I zipped my bag. Doesn't matter anyway. You killed this relationship the moment you stopped seeing a future with me. The rest is just logistics. I called my buddy Marcus while I finished packing. He'd gotten his own place 6 months ago after his divorce, a 2-bedroom he'd been trying to fill. 20 minutes later, I'd arranged to crash there. Nina followed me around the apartment like a ghost, trying to start conversations that went nowhere. What about the lease? You've got until the end of the month to figure it out. After that, not my problem. That's not fair. I can't afford this place alone. Should have thought about that before setting our relationship on fire. I pulled my keys off the ring, leaving only the apartment key. My name's on the lease through next month. After that, you're on your own. You're being cruel. I actually laughed at that one. Cruel would be staying and pretending everything's fine while you figure out your feelings. Cruel would be making this drag out for weeks while you keep 1 foot out the door. I'm being kind by ripping the Band-Aid off. She grabbed my arm as I headed for the door. Please, can we sleep on this? Talk in the morning. There's nothing to talk about. You said what you said. I heard you. Now we both move forward. Tears started rolling down her cheeks. Real ones, maybe. I didn't mean it like that. Things have felt different lately, and I thought we should discuss it. We did discuss it. Discussion's over. Relationship's over. I'm done. I pulled my arm free and walked out. The door closing behind me felt like the period at the end of a sentence I'd been trying to finish for months. Marcus met me at his place with beer and 0 questions. That's why he was my best friend. He just helped me unload my stuff into the spare room and handed me a cold one. You good? He asked. Getting there. He clinked his bottle against mine. To new beginnings and dodged bullets. I'll drink to that. The next few days existed in a strange fog. I blocked Nina on everything: phone, social media, email. Scorched earth policy. My therapist, Dr. Patel, whom I'd been seeing since my dad died 2 years ago, called it radical acceptance. Accepting that something is over and refusing to participate in the decay. Work kept me busy. I'd been leading a project migration that required focus anyway. My boss noticed I was staying later, coming in earlier. He probably thought I was gunning for a promotion. Really, I just didn't want to sit in Marcus's spare room staring at the ceiling. Nina tried to reach me through mutual friends. Our friend Alexis texted me 3 days after I left. Nina's really torn up. She wants to talk. She knows where I stand. Can you at least hear her out? She said she made a mistake. No thanks. I'm not interested in being someone's backup option. You're being stubborn. I'm being self-respecting. There's a difference. A week after I moved out, I found out through Marcus's girlfriend Tara, who worked with Nina's friend Bethany, that Nina had been spending a lot of time with some guy from her program. Daniel. Apparently, he was her study partner for the past semester. They'd gotten close. The spark she was missing? She'd found it with graduate school Daniel. I wasn't even surprised. Angry? No. Disappointed? Not really. It was more like confirmation. Validation that my gut instinct had been right. She'd been checking out emotionally because she was checking in somewhere else. 2 weeks gone, and I'd started settling into a routine. Morning gym sessions before work. Actual meal prep instead of ordering takeout. I'd been letting myself go in subtle ways during the relationship, staying up too late, eating like garbage, skipping workouts because Nina wanted to Netflix binge. The freedom felt strange at first. Then it felt good. I ran into Nina's sister Claire at the grocery store 3 weeks after the split. She looked uncomfortable when she saw me. Hey, she said carefully. Claire, how's it going? It's going. Listen, I'm sorry about what happened with you and Nina. Don't be. It happens. She shifted her grocery basket. She's kind of a mess right now. That's unfortunate. Claire studied my face. You really moved on that fast? I moved on the moment she told me she didn't feel the spark. The physical moving was just catching up to the emotional reality. That's actually kind of impressive. She smiled sadly. For what it's worth, I think she made a huge mistake. You were good for her. I appreciate that. But she didn't think so, and that's what matters. Claire nodded. You seem good though. Really good. Working on it every day. After she left, I realized it was true. I did feel good. Better than I had in months. The constant low-level anxiety about whether Nina was happy, whether I was doing enough, whether we were okay, it was gone. Replaced with this calm certainty about my own path. Marcus convinced me to go out with him and some work friends about a month after the breakup. I wasn't really in the mood for the bar scene, but he insisted I needed to get out of my head. That's where I met Vanessa. She was a friend of Marcus's coworker, visiting from Seattle. Tall, confident, with this disarming laugh that made everyone around her comfortable. We got to talking about work. She was in UX design, and ended up discussing everything from terrible apartment layouts to our shared obsession with true crime podcasts. Wait, you actually think the husband did it? She asked about some case we'd both followed. The pool house alibi had more holes than Swiss cheese. Finally, someone with sense. She clinked her glass against mine. Everyone I talk to about this case thinks I'm crazy. We exchanged numbers. Just as friends, I told myself. I wasn't looking for anything. But we started texting, then talking on the phone since she was back in Seattle. Easy conversations that flowed naturally. 6 weeks after the breakup, Nina reached out through a new Instagram account I hadn't blocked yet. I miss you. Can we please talk? I stared at the message for a full minute, then blocked the new account too. There was nothing to say. She'd made her choice. I'd made mine. Revisiting it would just reopen a wound that was finally starting to heal. Marcus asked me about it that night. Nina tried to reach out again. What did you say? Nothing. Blocked her. He nodded approvingly. You're handling this better than I handled my divorce. I watched you go through that. Learned from it. You spent 6 months in limbo while she figured things out. I'm not doing that to myself. Smartest thing you've ever done, honestly. 2 months post-breakup, I got promoted. The project migration I'd been burying myself in succeeded beyond expectations. My boss called me into his office and offered me a senior developer position with a significant raise. Your focus these past few months has been impressive, he said. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. If only he knew that whatever I was doing was just channeling heartbreak into productivity. I called my mom that night to tell her. She'd been worried about me since the split, checking in regularly, offering to visit, doing that thing mothers do where they try to fix everything. That's wonderful, honey. I'm so proud of you. Thanks, Mom. And how are you doing otherwise? Really? Honestly, I'm good. Really good. Have you talked to Nina? No, and I'm not going to. She was quiet for a moment. Your father always said that the mark of a person's character is how they handle endings. He'd be proud of how you're handling this. My throat tightened. Dad had been gone for 2 years, but references to him still hit hard. Thanks, Mom. That means a lot. 3 months after the breakup, Vanessa came to visit. We've been talking regularly. Long phone calls, video chats, constant texting. She had a work conference nearby and extended her trip to hang out. We spent the weekend exploring the city, hitting up restaurants I'd never tried, going to this experimental theater show that was weird but fascinating. She was easy to be around. No games, no ambiguity, just genuine connection. On her last night, we grabbed late-night tacos from this hole-in-the-wall place Marcus had recommended. I like you, she said, wiping hot sauce from her lip. Like a lot. I like you too. But you're still working through stuff. I nodded. I'm in a better place than I was. But yeah, I'm still processing. I respect that. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I'm not going anywhere. When you're ready, if you're ready, I'm interested. But no pressure. You're kind of amazing, you know that? I do, actually. But it's nice to hear. We kept in touch after she left. The difference between talking to Vanessa and talking to Nina near the end was staggering. With Nina, every conversation had felt like navigating a minefield. With Vanessa, everything just flowed. 4 months after the breakup, Tara dropped a bomb over dinner at Marcus's place. So, apparently Nina's new relationship imploded spectacularly. I looked up from my pasta. Oh, yeah. Turns out Daniel, the spark, is married. His wife showed up at Nina's place 2 weeks ago and caused a scene. Marcus choked on his wine. No way. Way? Bethany said it was a disaster. Nina had no idea he was married. He'd been feeding her lines about being separated, working through a divorce, all the classics. I felt a weird cocktail of emotions. Vindication, sure. A little bit of schadenfreude. But also something like pity. Nobody deserves to be lied to like that. That's rough, I said. Tara looked at me carefully. Bethany said Nina's been asking about you. Apparently, she's been realizing what she lost. Too late for that. That's what I figured. But I thought you should know. Marcus raised his glass. To dodge bullets and spectacular karma. I clinked my glass against his, but didn't say anything. Yeah, there was karma there. But I also knew that Nina was probably going through hell. As much as she'd hurt me, I wouldn't wish that kind of betrayal on anyone. Still didn't mean I was opening that door again. 5 months post-breakup, Vanessa and I made things official. She'd gotten a job offer in the city and decided to take it. We'd been dating long distance, and the transition to actually being in the same place felt natural. You sure you're ready for this? She asked when we had the conversation about being exclusive. I'm sure. Are you? Absolutely. But I need you to promise me something. What's that? If you're still hung up on Nina, tell me now. I'm not interested in being someone's rebound or emotional band-aid. You're not. Nina was my past. You're my present, and if I'm lucky, my future. She smiled. Good answer. The relationship with Vanessa was different from what I'd had with Nina. We communicated clearly. When something bothered one of us, we talked about it immediately instead of letting it fester. We made time for each other, but also maintained our independence. It felt healthy, adult, like a partnership instead of a codependency. 6 months after the breakup, I ran into Nina at a coffee shop downtown. I almost didn't recognize her. She looked thinner, tired, with dark circles under her eyes. "Hey," she said quietly. "Nina, how are you?" "I've been better." She looked down at her cup. "I heard you're seeing someone." "I am." "That's good. You deserve to be happy." She meant it, I could tell. "I'm really sorry. For everything. I know. I made a massive mistake. I took you for granted, and I chased something that turned out to be a lie, and I lost the best thing I had." I took a breath. "I appreciate you saying that. But we're not getting back together, if that's where this is going." "I know." Tears welled in her eyes. "I just needed you to know that I realize what I did. How badly I messed up. You left with so much dignity, and I needed to apologize." "Apology accepted. I hope things get better for you, genuinely." "They will. Eventually." She wiped her eyes. "Your new girlfriend is lucky." "I'm the lucky one, actually." After she left, I sat with my coffee for a while, processing the encounter. I'd imagined running into her dozens of times over the past 6 months. In some versions, I was cold and dismissive. In others, angry. In a few weaker, "Yeah, I really am." I pulled her closer. "I spent 3 years building something with Nina, but we weren't right for each other. She wanted something I couldn't give her, and I deserved someone who was all in. It took her blowing everything up for me to see that." "Her loss," Vanessa said, kissing my forehead. "My gain." 7 months after the breakup, I signed a lease on my own apartment. Not Marcus's spare room, not some temporary crash pad. My own place. 1 bedroom in a nice neighborhood, with a balcony overlooking a park. Marcus helped me move in, along with Vanessa and a few other friends. "Look at you," Marcus said, cracking open a beer in my new empty living room. "Full transformation complete." I don't know about complete, but I'm getting there. "Dude, you went from folding laundry when Nina dropped the bomb to this. New job, new girl, new place. That's pretty complete." Vanessa wrapped her arm around my waist. "He's right. You should be proud of yourself." I looked around the empty apartment. It needed furniture, decorations, all the things that make a place a home. But it was mine, built on my terms, in my time, with people I chose. "Yeah," I said. "I am proud." The thing about breakups nobody tells you is that they're not just about losing someone. They're about losing the future you imagined, the identity you built around being part of a couple, the routines and rhythms that structured your life. When Nina told me she didn't feel the spark, she didn't just end our relationship. She detonated my entire reality. And in that moment of destruction, I had a choice. Try to piece together the ruins and rebuild what was there, or clear the rubble and build something new. I chose new. Did it hurt? Absolutely. Were there nights when I questioned if I'd been too hasty, too harsh, too final? Of course. But even in those moments of doubt, I knew that I'd made the right call. Because the alternative, begging someone to love me, convincing someone to choose me, settling for being someone's consolation prize, would have hurt worse and lasted longer. 8 months after the breakup, Vanessa and I took a trip to Seattle to visit her family. Her parents were warm and welcoming, her siblings funny and genuine. Over dinner one night, her dad asked me about my work. "Software development, right? How'd you get into that?" I told him about my path, and somewhere in the conversation mentioned that I'd had a major project succeed earlier in the year. "That's around the time you and Vanessa started talking, right?" her mom asked. "Actually, yeah, right around then." Her dad smiled knowingly. Sometimes life falls apart so it can fall into place. That line stuck with me. Life falls apart so it can fall into place. Nina and I falling apart wasn't a tragedy. It was necessary. We were holding each other back, settling into comfortable dysfunction, too scared or lazy to acknowledge that we'd outgrown each other. Her, "I don't feel the spark anymore," was the match that burned down something that needed to burn. And from those ashes, as we got ready to leave, I looked at my reflection in the mirror. Same face, same person, but fundamentally different from the guy who'd been folding laundry 9 months ago when his world imploded. That guy had been in survival mode, just going through motions, afraid to rock the boat, even as it was clearly sinking. This guy knew what he wanted, knew what he deserved, and wasn't afraid to walk away from anything less. Nina taught me that love isn't about holding on at all costs. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and the other person is let go, completely, definitively, without room for ambiguity or false hope. When she said she didn't feel the spark, I could have fought, could have begged, could have spent months trying to reignite something that had already burned out. Instead, I chose to feel the breakup, really feel it, process it, move through it instead of around it. And on the other side, I found something better than a spark. I found peace. That night, at the concert with Vanessa, surrounded by music and lights and energy, I realized I hadn't thought about Nina in days. Not with anger or longing or anything in between. She'd just become a person I used to know, a chapter one used to live, a lesson I needed to learn. The relationship ended the night she said those 6 words. But my life actually began the moment I walked out that door with 2 duffel bags and my dignity intact. And you know what? I wouldn't change a damn thing.